This is Mark Blood.
And I'm Tim Mason. Welcome to episode 7 of Blood, Sweat, and Tim.
Live from Crystal Pick Studios in Fairport, New York, it's another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Tim with your hosts, Mark Blood and Tim Mason.
Hey, Tim, we're here today to talk about another segment of Blood, Sweat, and Tim. And I know we are very excited. Tim poured his heart and soul into being the president of the Small Business Council a few years ago, and was nice enough today to coerce Ray Isaac to come in and talk to us. And Ray is the current president of the Small Business Council, and tell us a little bit about the good things that the Small Business Council is doing. And Tim, maybe you can spend a little more of an intro.
The Small Business Council, obviously a great organization. I poured my heart into that organization, as you said, for a year. Some would say I gave up running Mason marketing for the Small Business Council. And I think as I see Ray smile, he'd agree that might be the course. But you need to do that. And Ray, I know, is a personal friend of mine. He's a client of mine. He has a very well-established company in the community, Isaac Heating and Air Conditioning, and is actually, I would tell you, one of my mentors. So it's great for him to be here today. He's a great businessman, and honestly, he's going to be a great leader for the Small Business Council. Ray, welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Tim.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Ray, I guess, first to start, so I know you've only been in it for, 2 months now. It's the end of February. You've had 2 months to get a little bit acclimated to the Small Business Council. Why don't you give us a little overview and maybe talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to bringing to the council and what we can expect as we move forward this year?
No, great. Well, I have 22 months left. I don't know if you were the one that said, okay, 1 year's not enough time, let's make it 2. So it's now a 2-year term. We have a plan, and the plan is some initiatives that I have been thinking of for the last couple of years as I knew that I was coming into the position, and things that I would like to accomplish during my term. I'm not one of those individuals that can come in, sit down, and just run things if they have always been run. I always got to mess them up. My dad always says you can't leave anything alone. I guess that's a blessing and a curse. But we do have some great initiatives, and really it revolves around our 4 C's as an organization. And really my plan has encompassed all 4 of those. The first one is coaching, making sure that we're providing resources to small businesses that they can use without having to go too far to look. A lot of small businesses don't know where to go for a resource, so we want to be that go-to place for them. The other one, besides coaching, is connecting, making sure that we're bringing small businesses together and not only networking, but providing them with a network, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. The other one is community, and that is really the fruits of our labor as an organization. When we can get together for 2 events, especially during the year, our backpack drive, where during the late summer period, we produce backpacks for kids that do not have them going back to school, and they have all the essential items in those. And I think we did over 900 or 1,000, maybe even 1,100 this year, backpacks for the community. And it's essential school supplies, and I tell you, these were well received. I did the delivery the one day, and the teachers and the administrators were just beaming. And then really our signature event of the year on community is the CARES initiative, where the last several years especially, we've generated over 3,000 food boxes for families in need, and that's 3,000 families that would not have had a Thanksgiving dinner if it wasn't for the efforts of the Small Business Council, and especially the businesses that are members of that.
I think, Ray, people, they think about 3,000 food baskets and that's pretty cool. But if you think about the fact that it's $50 a basket, that's over $150,000 donated back to the community. I mean, that's a huge effort. I mean, you put a dollar figure on it, and that's a significant contribution back to the community.
And that's every year. And I tell you, it's heartwarming when we do the delivery. And it's heartwarming both days. On Friday when we do the pickup, there's usually only 3 of us on a truck, so I think we picked up almost 600 boxes, and they average around 25, 30 pounds a box, so we did some heavy lifting that day. Seeing the generosity of the businesses that are donating these and the people that are getting together and want their pictures taken, and they have anywhere from 10 to 110 boxes waiting for us to be picked up.
Ray, you can't tell me that it isn't great to go to the open door mission and get a hug from those guys.
Well, and then
right?
that's the second day. Really, that validation of what we're doing is important when you have people waiting in line and people with tears. And the one place that we did donate to, I remember going in a couple of years ago, and they did not give the boxes out to their recipient families. They actually replenished their food cupboard. We walked in, and he said, we need these supplies to replenish our food cupboard. I walked in, and they had like 3 cans of corn on the shelf, and that was it.
Wow.
Nothing more than that.
Wow.
So I tell you, really, it's heartwarming, and that's when the whole community of the SBC gets together and delivers them. We got a food train where they just hand boxes from one person to the next. You got almost 30 people doing the delivery, and we bring the kids in, we bring our employees, and they participate, and they can see what small business is about and what business is about. I mean, you can have anything you want in life. You just have to help enough other people get what they want.
And that last C is really important too, right? Celebrating.
Yeah,
because
celebrating,
you guys do a lot. Small business in this community does an awful lot. And why don't you talk a little bit about this celebration initiative?
Well, celebrating, we love to celebrate. As small business people, we like to party. But the celebration is really the fruits of all the other labors. And the celebrating component is really earmarked by a number of our events. We have a gala every single year where we announce the Small Business Person of the Year. And that is a great event that gets
and you are a
almost
past recipient of that, the Susan Lucci Award.
Yes, I am. It took me three tries.
Wow.
My wife actually
that's
refused.
Like a stab. Wow.
Well,
we're friends, so I can. His wife told him that,
Lucci.
actually.
Wow.
Yeah, she's the one that actually said the third time, I'm not going. I said, what do you mean you're not going? She says, well, if you don't get it and I'm not there, that's embarrassing. I said, well, what if I do get it and you're not there? I said, you got to be there for it. So that's embarrassing. But so she, she definitely was a strong supporter. But yeah, it took 3 tries. But you know what? I guess that speaks to the validity of the quality of the applicants and the people that are considered for that. And I sat on the selection committee, and we would get 30 applications. We'd select 5 small business and 5 larger business finalists, and it was tough. I mean, we're talking about a 1/10 of a point or a 1/10 of a percent difference between the person who received the award and somebody who was second place, if you will. We don't identify them as second place, but just the quality of the small businesses. And I really gained an appreciation in that capacity on the committee for really the people that exist in Rochester and the businesses they run.
Well, one of the takeaways that you get from this, from what you just said, is really that this is a hardworking organization. This is, oftentimes you think about trade groups or you think about, social organizations, and you think about people showing up and having lunch and maybe hearing a speaker or something like that. This sounds like you have members, you have people that are participating that have dirt under their fingernails.
Oh, absolutely, Mark. This is probably the most engaged, active, energized board I've ever dealt with over the last 10 years that I've been involved with it. I tell you, because really when you look at the SBC, we have our support person, our marketing coordinator, which is Janie Woods, and then the board. And the board really is all volunteer labor, and Tim knows from his experience that you do spend a considerable amount of time, but they really do it out of love and a passion for what they're doing and supporting not only the small businesses, but the community. And really everything about those 4 C's is embodied by everybody on that board of directors.
You talk about the connecting, Ray, and I think that's part of that board too. I mean, everyone around that boardroom table, if I remember it, are friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, they weren't just associates who you've met or represent companies. They became friends. And having been to some of these board meetings, I see that, right? And that's why they're just willing to do whatever they can do. But they also care deeply for the small business community. And I think the small business community in Rochester needs more recognition than it gets today.
Oh,
and isn't that part of your whole opportunity to just make sure that people know there's this tremendous resource for them?
Yeah, and that's a part of my initiative. I mean, I laid out almost a 5-page plan to the board. I think I scared them a little bit. But a 5-page plan of what I want to see happen. And really it comes down to providing value for our members and for our prospective members. I've set a goal of increasing our membership from our current level to up to 500 members. And that's a rallying cry because that is not a number that's just pulled out of the air. That's a significant number. It's a number of meaningful businesses. So when we go to Albany and advocate for business issues down at the Capitol, we have a bus full of people, not just a handful of them. So I want to fill a bus up, not a minivan. And really what's going to happen from that is then everybody likes to run with the winners. So You see people that are successful, they're getting resources and support through the Small Business Council, and they want to join along with them.
Ray, break down, let's go back through coaching, connecting, and community and celebrating. Let's break that down a little bit more, especially on the coaching side, because I think one of the great values of being a member of the Small Business Council are our boot camps, okay? Not only do you get a chance to go to the Country Club of Rochester, which is a really great venue for these, but boy, we continue to increase the quality of the speakers there. And if you don't walk away with some nugget, you're not listening.
Yeah, the boot camp is really a shining star for us, and it's amazing how a quick 1 hour with a continental breakfast, great hardcore information that's presented in a professional manner, and we have our speaker lineup already set for the year, and it's a various topics that we talk about. We talk about how to keep yourself out of jail by hiring somebody, and marketing tactics, and how to maybe value your business. But it's really that information that some of these people do not know where to go, and it's kind of a lead in. You're not going to get everything you need to write a business plan from it, but it gives you a lead in, okay, where do I start? And that's usually what a small business person needs, is where do I start and how do I find out to do something?
Well, it's always about awareness. It's always about where is the spot that you do or don't want to step. So in a coaching regard, you look at it and you say we have boot camps where members of the Small Business Council can come in and hear about new topics. How do you spin that coaching toward the next generation of people that are going to be the business owners? I mean, Tim and I are both guys that Tim's a lot older than me, but we're both guys that
I have more hair than you,
we're staring down the barrel of transition, and you need to coach those next generation leaders. Does the Small Business Council have a spot there in?
Yeah, it's actually one of my initiatives is two things. Number one, setting up a mentoring program where existing, maybe a little bit larger businesses can spend a half hour just answering some of the questions of a small business person. And the other initiative is developing our roundtables again. This is an initiative that the Chamber used to do, and we are under the Chamber's umbrella and envelope as an organization. The Chamber used to run a CEO roundtable. I got so much out of that. We're going to be reinitiating those roundtables and have maybe CEOs, groups of 5 or 6 of them, get together on a monthly basis or however they choose to do that and just share ideas. We can have one for marketing. We could have one for IT, and just have them get together, collaborate. We have a lot of people that are in the consulting capacity that also are members of the SBC that have already volunteered to mentor those groups and facilitate those groups. And in return, they might make some connections there. I mean, it's all about the difference between networking and building a network. And really, that's what the SBC is doing is, yeah, you do it for networking. That's where you want to try to meet people so you can sell something and create a client list. But the network part is really where I see the value is creating that.
So let's talk about network for a second. If you think about network, what do you think is, for that young person, what do you think is the differentiating factor? What do they get out of that network that they don't get out of networking?
Well, again, network is a support function. If I'm looking at from kind of a Webster's dictionary part, having a network is having a support structure of individuals who can help you through issues. They can help you through challenges. I belong to a group called Vistage. I pay a good amount of money to belong to that. I've belonged for about 13 years now, and it's still valuable for me. We can also provide some of those things in SBC where if somebody's confronted with a challenge, you can have an issue processing forum with 3 or 4 other members that can get together and help that person through that. And if nothing else, tell them where they can go. We're enhancing our website to provide links to different agencies and organizations where they can go and get information. We need to be a vital partner for a business's success. Really, that's our whole goal.
Relevancy.
And be relevant, yep.
Right.
And Ray, I think I've shared the story with you in the past. When I got involved, I got asked by a couple people. One of the presidents of the Small Business Council was a client of mine, and also my banker. And he's like, "Oh, you should get involved in this organization." And I remember going to the board meeting and not really knowing a lot of people there. And like I said before, with your board, I can look around the table by the time I was done and being involved over 7 years, and not only first of all, I would absolutely call the people around those table my friends, but people who I could call up, to your point on networking or network, to ask questions about, I got this HR issue, and that's where the value of, I think, that organization becomes. Yes, it's 20 members on the board, But you go to the holiday party or whatever, the business bash you just had. I know they're planning a huge event in July, the barbecue at Oak Hill, and that's going to be just wonderful to be able to just having a 5-minute conversation with people with a name badge on, and everyone's there, honestly, with the same goal. It is. You go to some of these events and you're a little bit concerned about approaching people. I would tell you a small business event is all about that.
I know. I love going to them. I love going to them even before I was on the board, because I always say it's like going to a group of friends that are getting together, and I seem like I know everybody there, and that's probably a good and bad thing because we got to grow the membership, so there's a lot of people there I don't know, but I didn't know them when I started going, and I've become really very good friends with a lot of these individuals. We still have people that aren't on the board that email 2 or 3 of us that are members of the SBC and are always asking us questions. Hey, what would you guys do about this? What would you do about that? I'm confronted with this challenge. Just creating that support network of individuals who can help you through these challenges. We need to do even more of that. And there's a couple other initiatives that we are working on as well in order to achieve that.
And I know, Ray, you talked about being an umbrella of the chamber, an affiliate of the chamber, and that is an important relationship too, because they provide a lot of value to members. But I think it's important. People may have a perspective that a chamber membership is X amount of dollars. I would say the Small Business Council is absolutely the best value in town. I run into a lot of individual business, individual sole proprietors, whatever. And even my wife is a realtor. I said, you should join, become a member, because you could benefit from these, mostly from networking, but also just how do I give back to the community? Perfect example, because all the infrastructure is already there for you to become part of that. But can you talk a little bit about the pricing? I mean, I think it's just a steal. It
is a steal. I mean, an individual membership is like $100 and a corporate membership is $300. It actually should be more. That will justify itself when we can continue to create that value proposition. I think it's the best deal in town right now.
And you have 10 boot camps that are $25 if you paid for them direct, so it's already paid for.
If you total up the food that you can consume and the 2 drink coupons that you get at our networking events, it pays for itself right there, and you can bring 4 people from your company. So
Mark's raising a hand. He wants to sign up. He's ready to go.
It's the proverbial no-brainer. And when you go to these networking events, we have the headliner coming up where we're going to have Austin McCord, who just gave $50 million to RIT. He is our keynote speaker. And we're going to have, potentially 200 to 300 people at that are coming there to not only listen to him, but come there to meet other people that are in the small business community.
I know a little bit about Austin's background, and I think it's so cool because I think he started that in his basement.
Oh, yeah. Small business.
And now it's a multi-billion-dollar company, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think about
there's a million stories like that.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, but it's Rochester, New York. Yeah. It'll tie. He went to RIT.
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic. And it's what small business people aspire to be. I got to tell you, and Ray, I think you'd agree. People walk out of these things, they feel better about their company and themselves.
And the community. They feel, everybody wants to run with the winners. We have to support our community. That's a big reason for the Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative of the Small Business Council. We do not exist by selling products. The most of us do not exist by selling products to China. We are selling products to our local community. We're providing services to our local community. It behooves us and benefits us to support our local community. That's the whole essence of corporate social responsibility. And there's that spirit throughout the SBC where we are supporting those initiatives and making the community better.
You're also, I know you have a golf tournament too that really enters into the community too because of the scholarship, right?
Yeah, the golf tournament's another one of our highlight events. That's a fun one, but we hand out scholarships for local college students that apply for that, and they get letters of reference. So we're helping them on their journey. Some of them are going to go out and start their own small businesses. I've witnessed that myself personally. We also have, as we said, the July event where we're going to be announcing all the applicants and really celebrating all the applicants of that Small Business Person of the Year recognition, because that is an important recognition when somebody thought highly enough of you as a small business person to nominate you for a prestigious award like that. And then the gala that we have in October is where we celebrate those individuals and the finalists, the people that have made it to that level. And as I said before, they are very, very close in their validity and really being able to receive an award and being worthy of that recognition.
You may know that DKB, Mark's firm, actually does the verification of some of the data that's in their applications, and has done a great
We
job.
have people who can do math.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, it's not just a popularity contest. I mean, we validate the information, so it's a good process, I tell you.
And that's the biggest event of the year, right? I mean, you put 900 people at the convention center for that. So.
Yeah, and they do a great job, and the convention center has been a great supporter. So really, I mean, when you look at the SBC in entirety, it's everything that comes together to try to support small business people. I mean, there's, I think, 14,000 small business people or small businesses in our area, meaning our DMA. And there's a whole population of individuals, and a lot of those are sole proprietors that are in need of some services, don't have necessarily the budget, but for as a single member, $100 a year, they can go and get some nice, helpful information. Other enhancements that we're looking at doing for the SBC is creating a stronger connection between the SBC and the higher education community. And pretty much, the Nazareths, the St. John Fishers, the RITs, the Roberts Wesleyan, MCC, because a lot of those individuals that are graduating from those colleges are coming into our local community and probably going to start businesses. I mean, they are entrepreneurs.
Wouldn't you say that would be a reason maybe to even convince them to start staying here, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're seeing a migration, and maybe the SBC has a role in that.
Yeah, we have an event that's going to be in June where the St. John Fisher and the Small Business Council are going to be working together, and I'm also setting one up with Nazareth as well, where we're going to have an informational session on the capstone projects, where you can have a group of college students do a research project for you and come up with a marketing plan and a business plan for that. So it's going to be an informational session on that, as well as how to acquire an intern from one of the local colleges to work in your business and learn while they're also getting credit for their college degree. And we're going to have an informational session. I think it's on June 14th over at Fisher in the morning. That's, again, just those little resources. We need to be that network for those small businesses in the area. And again, we qualify small business. People might think that, well, I'm only one person. That's a small business. And I have friends of mine that have close to 1,000 employees, and I still consider them a small business.
So in your case, I mean, you run a closely held business. You employ a lot of people who, the terminology I use all the time is people work for us and they buy groceries at Wegmans. And we have a responsibility to our people, and we have a responsibility to grow our businesses and nurture our businesses. So in talking about the value proposition with the Small Business Council, is there an example that you can give about how Isaac has been able to benefit from the exposure of their people to the Small Business Council, the things that maybe, some of your middle management people have gleaned from it that people wouldn't think about?
Yeah, and again, I love exposing our leadership team to other opportunities in the community, whether that be an educational session, bringing them to a boot camp, which we do. They volunteer at the CARES initiative. I bring them to the celebration of the gala. I buy a table at that, and I bring them. And a lot of people, they don't, they feel, they get dressed up for it, and it's an opportunity to them for them to go to a nice event that's well run, that is a great recognition of the successes. And there's the old saying, everybody likes to run with the winners. We need to show them energy. We need to show them that this is a vibrant community, as we talked about before, retaining not only businesses in the area, but our talent and our brain trust in the area.
The energy is a big thing. You got to get the rock rolling. If the rock doesn't roll, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think as Ray talks about these connections and bringing people and meeting people, and certainly the connecting part of the SBC. I mean, it isn't always direct connections either. I think that's really important. So, somebody might ask somebody who I had a conversation with, hey, do you know anybody who owns a marketing agency? Or, hey, my furnace, went out on me this morning. Who should I call?
Even better. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a better example.
Yeah. Or, geez, I need a new accountant. But the bottom line is, other people are kind of networking within. So it doesn't have to be just a one-to-one. It's really a one-to-many concept here, because, and again, I think it is what you make of it, Ray. I think you'd agree. Okay. When we were part of the organization, we could have just been a member, but we elected as a company to kind of really take it on, if you will. We got involved as a company in CARES. We got involved with the board. We helped with a lot of the marketing communications. We helped with the website, and that allowed us to really expand it. It is totally what you make of it. So I guess what I'd say is maybe you can talk to it. Don't just pay your $100 and say, I got the sticker to put on the door. You really have to make it work.
Yeah, you got to be part of it. My dad came up with a saying for Rochester Rotary, which he was a past president of years ago, and he calls it a rhino, Rotarian in name only. So, and we can apply that to every organization. A lot of times people do not see value out of something because they don't get involved. Again, whose fault is that? For me, I always take on the ownership of that as saying, okay, I'm accountable for that. We need to give people a reason. We have to make it easy for them to get involved, make it a very low risk initiative for them to be involved in an organization and to attend an event. We try to plan our events so they're at a great time. The boot camps are in the morning from 8 until 9 o'clock, as Tim said, at a great venue over at CCR, and we make it convenient for them. We get them in, we get them out. We never go over. We make sure that our luncheon event is very to the timeline that it should be. Our evening events are coordinated. So we are very sensitive to the needs of small business people, because that person that's coming to an event, we are appreciative of the fact that they also may have to process payroll that day. They may have to talk to their attorney, their accountant. They probably have to go out and maybe sell a job, and they have to put a job together and get the guys going and the girls going for the morning. We're very sensitive of that. And that's, I think, one of the beauties of the Small Business Council, because we are small business people. You look around the board, we're all doing this on a daily basis.
But the message is you have to be willing to make an investment.
You
That's
do.
a lot more than $300. It's not, your investment's not measured by the check. Your investment is measured by check and a lot more of your heart.
And I would tell
what
you,
you're
people
actually
just go to
willing.
one event and they'll be convinced, right? I mean, that is the whole thing.
You're going to get your money back just on one, but you're right. I mean, I always say in charitable endeavors, the easiest thing I can do is write a check. I mean, that's the easiest thing. And the time, talent, and treasure, the hardest ones to give is of your time and of your talent. I mean, the treasure is almost the easiest. So if you're going to give to your business, you have to give of the time and the talent as well, and not just the treasure. Belonging to something, I would tell somebody, do not join it if you're not going to get involved, because you could probably use that $100 to buy coffee for a month.
Ray, kind of if we come to a close, so make the pitch to those people who aren't members yet. Tell them why they need to consider becoming a member of the Small Business Council of Rochester.
Well, the old adage is that none of us is as smart as all of us. I mean, you want to be involved with individuals who are like-minded, who have the same goals as you do, who have the same demographic as you do. When you see families travel together, usually they have the same number of kids and they're about the same age and they like the same things. We are a family, really. We're a family of small businesses. We are growing it. We're going to be adding a lot of value, a lot of initiatives. We're going through a strategic planning process in a couple months, and we're going to be surveying our members to find out, what do you want out of the organization. It's really been one of the best things I've ever done. I wouldn't have taken on the role of president if I did not believe in it. I mean, people do things out of either fear, greed, or conviction. I'm doing it out of conviction. I do believe in it because I believe that we have so much talent in the area, and it's a shame to see somebody not succeed just because they didn't know who to talk to or where to go.
How do you fit that in, Ray? Are you through with the United Way now? Because I know that was another important initiative for you.
Yes, United Way is, I'm a past chair now. It's almost like being a grandparent. It's awesome. But I have a few other charitable endeavors that I do get involved with. I think my employees sign me up for stuff so they can get me out of the office.
Well, congratulations, Ray,
Thank
on
you.
all your success. Great company in Isaac, and you've done a great job. As I said, I look at you as a mentor, and I think the Small Business Council is in really, really good hands with Ray Isaac as president. So really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Ray.
Thank you.
From Mark Blood and Tim Mason, thanks for listening to this edition of Blood, Sweat, and Tim. We hope you'll keep putting your blood, sweat, and tears into your business, and that you'll join us for our next BST podcast.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Please subscribe to Blood, Sweat, and Tim on your favorite podcast app.